We are live. Let's see. Let me put that there for a minute. Let me check my 70% there. Oh, there's one. Hi, Montreal. Hey, yeah. I'm just. It's good to see you, Montreal. It's very good to see you. How have you been? Ah, Mercedes. Hi. I find sometimes that, we want to continue the conversation sometimes, but I know that Lance has been very busy today, and so I just try and be cognizant of people's time. And so, yeah, it's good that you guys made it over. Um, let's see. Yeah, there's so many of them there. Um, yeah, I'm just telling them. Mercedes, you want to know everything? Like what? Tell me. What is something you would like to talk about? You tell me and we'll answer it by way of law. How the laws apply to our afterlife. Now, this is beautiful because I guess that question is coming from a place of heaven and hell. The law of vibration tells you, right? Everything moves, nothing stands still. We, um, whatever rate you're vibrating at right now, you have a particular vibrational signature. They call it an aura. You already have one of those. So you can only be in a place that has the same vibrational match as you. So that's how you explain the afterlife. Whatever your vibration, because we have, you know how they say you have multiple dimensions or universes, parallel universes. They're all stacked one on top of each other. And the only thing that separates them is the vibration. That's what makes them different, the vibration, you understand? So it's a vibration. Whatever vibration you match, that's where you'll be. Right? That's why you take the time now to raise your vibrational signature. Right? So that's how the laws apply to the afterlife. Astral projection, now I've never done astral projection before. But if you read the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, I do have it in a playlist on my YouTube channel, actually. The Emerald Tablets. I did the audio for that because some people. Oh, wait. Am I not on camera? Is that what you mean, Mercedes? Because my camera is on. See, if I do that, it stops. So my camera is on. Can you hear me well? Yeah, you guys will have to let me know. Oh, you did it once, Montreal. Oh, the difference in realities. Listen, you, everything has stages, right? Everything has stages. So a seed will have the root stage second because you plant it in the ground as a seed, and then it has roots, and then it has shoots, and then it flowers, and then it fruits. So everything has a stage. Because you cannot see the difference in realities at this moment, it does not mean you won't see them. It's just a matter of what stage are you at in your vibration. So if you, like Montreal says, he did it once, astral projection. Now, I've never done it. It is something. Hi, Sonia. It's great to see you too. For astral projection, a lot of it is practice. My bestie, I know this is right up her alley. She's been doing this since she was a wee little girl, like she's been astral projecting. She's been doing that stuff. I have not. Right? But if you read the Emerald Tablets, somewhere in there, Thoth does explain how to do it. And it has to do with vibration yet again. Feeling the vibration and changing that rate of vibration so that you pop out of your body. Right? So yes, it is practice. I don't know the process just yet. So you know how you say, like, if you're baking bread, you have a recipe to follow, and bread has a particular formula to it. Astral projection is the same. It has a particular way of doing things. And so you practice the process. Meditation it is. Right? So does that make sense, Mercedes? So the more, like you say, the more Montreal, when he said to meditate, it's not just the stillness on the outside, but it's the stillness on the inside, the peace on the inside. That curiosity, you want to know more, you want to understand more. And so then you start to do it. And you practice, and you practice, and you practice until, voila, it happens. Right? Does that make sense? Let me see if I can get into the chat over here so that, yeah. Good. Any more questions? Because we're here. We might as well. We might as well answer some questions while we're here. And so, yeah. But you see, when you start to practice the law, you begin to raise your vibration more and more. And the more you raise your vibration, because it just happens naturally, when you raise your vibration, depending if you see, some people get visions, some people hear, you start to learn more and experience more. Pardon me, by way of how you practice, yeah? So it really does come down to practicing. And some people say, well, I don't know how to meditate. Simple. Anything that has you in a singular focus. You're just focused on one thing, whether that's your breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, whether you are painting, drawing, sewing, cooking, anything that puts you in a position where you have a singular focus. I want you to imagine, if you will, the pyramid, singular focus. You here and then here. So the base, right? This is the top, your singular focus. What happens with that singular focus? It opens you up down here. Right? It opens you up so that you can experience more. And I think a lot of it has to do with that. Oh, hey. Hello. I won't call your name. Dot other. I won't call your name. But it's good to see you. But does that make sense when it comes to meditation. Do the thing that will have a singular focus for you, and you'll begin to experience things that are higher, right? Oh, okay. Some people believe that you have to do the Buddha pose, you know. You can, for me, it's in the shower because the water is running and your mind is just, you're just, the water is quite soothing to me, right? And so while you're in there, you can ask a question before you even get into the shower, something you want to solve. What do I do about dot, dot, dot? And you go and you get your shower. And chances are by the time you get out of the shower, you'll have the answer. If not that same time you get out, when you wake up in the morning, right? That's what you do. You can also, I find, it is very, very calming, the water. You can sit in a chair because if you get too comfortable, you'll fall asleep. Yes? So you don't necessarily want to lay there and just not have a focus. So if you're going to lay there like, or you could recline on a chaise, a lazy boy. But again, if you're too comfortable and you haven't mastered the art of teetering between sleep and wakefulness, it's a state akin to sleep is what Neville Goddard calls it. You're awake. You're aware of what's going on. You haven't committed to sleep, but the body is still, right? That's one way of doing it, Asonia. And know why you're going to meditate. Why are you going into that place? Are you going into that place for peace? Are you going into that place for answers? Why are you going there? Know why you're going so that you get what it is that you are looking for. Does that make sense? So you just find a comfortable place. You can lean back on a chaise or a lazy boy, or you can sit up in bed. Look, anytime I'm in my bed, I'll be sleeping. Right? Because it's so comfy, with my heated blanket. Like, come on. Like, that's not a place to meditate. That's a place to sleep. So find a place and you sit there. And you'll begin, as you begin to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Why? Because that is telling your body to relax. When you breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth, you're exercising. Two different things, right? So when you focus there, inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose. Over and over and over again, you will begin to feel that your body is getting heavy because it feels the same way sleep does. It'll feel the same way sleep does, except you are aware of what's going on around you. The body will feel heavy because you won't want to move. It is so relaxed. It is at ease. It is at peace. It is heavy. Practice staying in that, it's like a teeter-totter. The middle of the teeter-totter? You call it a fulcrum. See if you can stay there. Hovering between the two, sleep and wake. See if you can stay there. That's the practice. Yes. So, Montreal, there's definite truth to that because we stargaze, my son and I, we stargaze. And we would put our snowsuits on because we used to do it in the winter a lot at our old place. And so we lay out in the snow in our snowsuits and just look up at the sky. And you feel, at first you feel small. But then it's like this. The very first time I did it, it scared me, to be honest, because the night sky was so black. It was so dark. I felt like I was being absorbed into it, and that was a little bit nerve-wracking for me. But the more you stargaze, you understand, the more you stargaze, that feeling like feeling like a giant, like you're one with it. You're so big. You're not this little human anymore. That's what I really enjoyed about stargazing. So I think, well, one of the best places we drive out a little bit out of the city because there's not as many lights. Now that night sky will scare you because there aren't any lights. All you are seeing is the stars. Little Dipper, Big Dipper, Orion, Cassiopeia. Like we stargaze, so we know a little bit of our constellations, right? But yes, the more you do it, it's it's one of those things that is absolutely beautiful to do, to stargaze. Well, you'll come to understand a lot if you do it. Depending on where you live, Sonia, if you do it that way, that's one way of looking up and recognizing how vast our night sky is. It puts things into perspective, and then you begin to feel a sense of awe. And you start asking questions like, who made it? Why am I here? We start to ask things like that. Does that make sense? So that's one way of doing it too. Bird watching is another, because when you start to see the beauty that is around you, you begin to ask questions. Yes, Rosemary. Hi, sweetie. I haven't seen you in quite some time. Yes, stargazing is beautiful and it is very expansive. Yes. That's the part that scared me the first time I started doing it. Because, when you're a kid, I grew up in the Caribbean, so you see the stars at night, and that's just old hat for you. But when I started to see the vastness of that night sky, first the awe was like, wow. And then because I felt literally like I was being sucked into it, that scared me. And I had to look away for a moment. I was like, ooh, that's a little scary. Really? Your son is the one reason I haven't given up on getting in better shape, because he has helped me keep confidence and was someone I could talk to when you felt like you should give up. Wow. Little tiny Noah? Wow. Oh, heed. That is, as a mom, thank you for sharing that with me. Wow. Because you get to see him slightly differently than I do. Right? So that means he's listening to me then. Because when he doesn't understand what to do, he comes and he says, Mom, help me. What do I do? And the same way I teach him is the way he's doing to you. So, thank you for that. It is greatly appreciated. Greatly. Montreal, do share with our young man. Do share. I know, right, Mercedes? I'm just like gushing as a mom right now. Yeah? Well, yeah. You could do that, Heed. You could do your workouts. You could learn, and you could do that too. How to... Yes, Rosemary, the little children always teach us. Yes. So, Heed, read what Montreal is saying to you in the chat. And yeah, you guys can follow each other actually on YouTube if you have channels. You can follow each other. But yes, that is so true. These young ones are really quite helpful, And that's the thing. I learn a lot from Noah as well. Because when he comes and he talks to me and he just shares, and I'm like, how does he know this? That's a brilliant way to do it too, Heed. To do the push-ups. Yes. And all you have to remember is the discipline of it. To stay in shape means, I don't know if you know who David Goggins is. Now, he's a little extreme for me because he was a Marine, right? So Marines have their own mindset. But with anything that you do, the law teaches you to be consistent with it. So if you're going to do, you pick your number of what you're going to do for your push-ups. And every day you do them at the same time. Every day at the same time. Because what you're doing, this is why I teach you to understand how the body works. The body works by way of habit. So if you train it to do these many per day, you're going to notice that your breathing will get better. You'll be able to use your air better, right? The body will just move with ease. And when that becomes easier, now, right? Now you'll be able to do more because your body will tell you, hey, this is too easy. Let's increase it. And going into the army won't be a problem because you will have developed your discipline. 30 days of not eating any bread. That's what he's saying. Does that make sense, Heed? Where you can, because what you're doing, because when you go into the army, what do you think they're developing in you? You get a crash course in developing a habit and a lifestyle, so much so that when you come out of the army, you know, see, when you put it this way, when you go into the army, you walk. When you come out of the army, you march. You spent your whole life walking. But for however long you spend in the army, when you come out, you march. You're no longer walking. You do that left, right, left, right. That's what you do because it has become a lifestyle for what you've learned. And they are relentless. So if you practice forming your habits now and your mental discipline, look up David Goggins. I know he did a lot of stuff with Joe Rogan. But you'd see he went to a place in his mind where he really could push his mind. The mind is truly your only limitation. You can break out of anything. The only reason why I wasn't a fan is because he pushed the body sometimes beyond breaking. And I didn't like that. Because I don't think you have to. Right? Sal. There's also an app called Yuka that can scan your food and it tells you what ingredients are in the food you buy. Well, look at that, Heed. Look at all these things. Make notes so that, because you understand when people go into the army, they're green and they can't handle being yelled at. That's the only part I don't like being yelled at, right? But what they teach you to do is discipline. And the only reason why you follow through with the discipline in the army, most people follow through with the discipline in the army, is because it's day in and day out. There's no chance to say we're going to get a day off. It is the same thing when you're practicing your meditation. Right? When you're practicing your meditation, same time every day. Same time every day. Even when you don't feel like it. You see, because it doesn't have anything to do with your feelings. It has to do with what needs to be done at this time. What needs to be done? You got to do those push-ups. You got to do that meditation. You got to write a script. Do the work. Because just like I told you guys, if you guys were over there on the other channel with Lance, with the Bible story, the guy who had 1 talent, the one who had 2, and the one who had 5. The one who had 5, he developed his discipline. The one who had 2 also developed his discipline. But the one who had 1 and he hid it and he didn't do anything with it, he was not disciplined. That is what separates quote unquote winners from losers. Discipline. Consistency. That is the only thing that separates us. Right? Discipline. Be consistent. And to be consistent means to do the same thing the same way every time. And when you do the same thing the same way every time, you form a habit. That's what you do. So it goes, if you watch and you pay attention, it doesn't matter what it is that you want to do, whether it is meditation, whether it would be working out, whether it's changing your life, making new habits. It is all the consistency. That's why when you hear some people say, "Oh, but I tried and I just can't do it. I'm not strong enough to do it." You don't have to be strong. You have to be consistent. That is the difference. You have to be consistent. Not strong, not Superman, just consistent. Does that make sense? Ah, Montreal, I'm just seeing your question here. Sometimes I have to scroll back to see. So if I miss a question, just tell me again. So Neville talks about messages in our dreams, and you don't understand what your dreams are telling you. Ah, now my bestie, I don't see her here in the chat. With dreams, you get a particular message. It's the thing that sticks out the most. Like, for instance, if in your dream you are running from something, I'm coming, Sal. If you are in your dream and you're running from something or someone, that dream is telling you, there's something you're avoiding. What are you avoiding in your daily life? Because you're being chased. You're running from something, and that is the theme. But we get caught up in the details, in the small details. The other way is if you are in a small space in your dream and you feel claustrophobic. So what you're doing is looking at the theme of the dream. Is what you're doing. That will help you a lot, right? It will help you a lot if you recognize the pattern in the dream, the theme. It's all about the pattern, because how dreams work. If you are watching a TV show and, your brain will put together things from different places just because it's there. But it's the theme. What is the repetitive theme that you have, right? Does that make sense, Montreal? Let me see. Oh, there's a lot of good advice in there, Heed. If you take some notes, there's a lot of good advice in there. These are great people in the chat with you tonight. How do you deal with procrastination? Tracy. Hello. Like Tracy, like Faya Tracy? Is that? You got to tell me if that's who you are, because if that's who you are, hello. Procrastination. Procrastination is an umbrella. What is it that you're supposed to be doing that you're not doing? It's not that you're procrastinating. There's something that you should be doing that you're not. What is the thing that you should be doing that you are not? For instance, if you say, I'm going to read 2 chapters today. 9 o'clock comes around and you say, I'll read at 11. You're procrastinating. Yes, you are procrastinating. But what is it that you are avoiding doing? That is the question to answer, because to procrastinate is just an umbrella. Does that make sense, Sal? So that we can break it down. See, now this is why coming out to the workshop on January the 27th at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is a good idea. Tracy, you were feeling depressed. Well, let's see what we can do here. Now, feelings. Let's talk about feelings. Feelings. You're feeling depressed, chances are, because you've remembered something. You see, this is why it's helpful to understand how the body works. The body works by way of recalling information. It remembers things. It stores information, right? So we get feeling depressed when we remember something that made us, quote unquote, depressed back in the day. But the problem is, your body does not know if you are back in the day or if you are here today. Your brain knows that because you have eyes and you can see the date on the calendar, so you know where you are. But when you remember, when you recall the memory, you have to feel the way the memory made you feel back then. And the more remember what it is to make a habit, because Tracy, this will make sense for you. Depression is a habit. Why? Because every time you have the same memory, you react the same way and you do the same action every time. That is consistency. So how does one make a habit? By doing the same thing the same way every time. So when you recall past failures, my dear darling Tracy, failures are not real things. We only are ever learning. You haven't failed. You're just learning. But if you throw in the towel and you say, I failed, I can't do this anymore, you know what you're telling your body? You're telling your body that every time you encounter this, behave this way. Why do you want to behave that way? Because the body is built to survive. And survival means you're going to want to do the thing that is comfortable to you because it's familiar, it's safe. That's why you'll want to do it. Even though you say, I don't want to be depressed. As I said earlier today on the other channel, it is a habit, and we cannot break habits. You can't break them. Reading is a habit. Can you imagine if you could break that habit and not read anymore? You'd have to get up every day and learn how to read. Habits make you successful. This is why you have to choose the habit that is most beneficial to you. So depression is a habit, just like that word procrastination is an umbrella. And then the next thing you know, you begin to buy into this thing that says you have a mental illness. No, you do not. The universe is a mental creation, right? There's no illness in creation, right? So if there's no illness in creation, that means the quality of your thought determines the health of your universe that you have created for yourself. So if you say, I'm depressed, what has you depressed? If you say, I don't have any friends, and that makes me depressed, so what do you need to do? It's not that you're depressed, it's that you don't have any friends. Don't conflate the two. So how does one? We use the law of polarity. The law of polarity, something is on the left and something is on the right. They're the same. It's just that they're separated by vibration. So no friends, two friends are exactly the same. It's just a matter of vibration that separates the two. So when you say to yourself, okay, I'm going to use the law of polarity, I always get out a piece of paper and I write on the left side what it is I'm coming from that I want to get rid of. And on the right side, I write what I want to go towards. So if you say you have no friends, that's on the left. Friends are on the right side. So what do you need to do? Well, do you think you're a good friend? Because that is where it starts. Remember, the universe is a mental creation. If you don't think that you are a good friend, as within, so without. That is law. If you don't feel like you are a good friend, if you believe that you are not a good friend on the inside, then you will not have friends on the outside, because what is on the inside of you must be on the outside. Let me put it to you in this way. If you plant anything, if you plant any seed, whatever seed you planted is the plant that will grow. So if you say you have no friends, that seed on the inside can only bring forth no friends. Right? So this is how we deal with the situation. You don't just say, I'm depressed. You literally get yourself and you write down, okay, yes, so I feel this way. Feeling is just the memory. It is just the memory of how you felt before. Right? We do not allow our feelings to dictate how we live. Heat, are you going? You're going to bed? Okay, that's fine. It'll be here. Noah says good night. Yeah. Um, but does that make a little bit of sense, Tracy? Yeah, because I remember you were saying you were thinking of your past failures. You see, when we sit and we reminisce, that is the design. Noah Heed says good night. When we sit, listen, the body is designed to recall a memory and behave the exact same way as we did with that memory. That is the way the body is designed, hands down, no questions. The body is designed to repeat a pattern over and over and over again. So, it is not enough to say you have depression or you have anxiety. What is it? It has a name. So, when you name it, you get out that piece of paper from name it. You don't want that. So, what do you want instead? So, then once you decide what it is you want, then you say to yourself, okay, well, how do I feel about that? Because as within, so without. Do I really feel like I'm not good enough? How did you come to that understanding that you weren't good enough? Chances are you heard it from someone. Now, why would somebody say that to you? They say that because it was said to them. Why? Because the body lives by memories. So whatever they have experienced, they will lay it on you because it's what they know. This is why you cannot allow, you see, you don't hide your feelings, aka your emotions. You pay attention to them because it's telling you what vibration, the law of vibration, tells you that everything moves, nothing stands still. So when you're feeling depressed, your body is saying to you, this is a low vibration. Do you want to stay here? If the answer is no, well, then what you have to change, because the universe is a mental creation, it starts with a thought. So the thought is what has you feeling that way. So change the thought. Change the thought from the thought that makes you feel bad. And once you change the thought, because we're good at reminiscing, if you don't know a good memory to reminisce, because I had someone tell me, Angela, I just did not have a good life. I have no memories, no good memories to draw from. So if you have no good memories to draw from, I'm sure there's something that can make you laugh. Golden Girls, I love that. So I usually go there. And, or something that Noah will say to me that's totally got me cracking up. And I remember something that's funny that he said. And because it is a thought, each thought has its own vibration. And the thought that has its own vibration, now the body, because remember, you're feeling depressed, the body is slow to move, it's sluggish, it's tense. But if you remember something that is funny and you laugh, the body now begins to feel a little bit lighter. So now you see what your feelings are telling you. Your feelings are telling you whether your vibration is high or low. That's what your feelings are telling you. So when you see the feeling and you recognize the feeling, you ask yourself, do I want to stay here? Because listen, sometimes things that happen to us, we are justified in wanting the justice. We're justified in wanting it. But the problem with that is the law doesn't see the person who hurt you. The law sees that you are hurt. And if you are walking around with hurt on the inside, you must experience hurt on the outside. Now, hear me, Tracy, it's not a punishment. The law tells you, I will give you what you are. I want you to think about how beautiful of a thing that is, because it will cause you to elevate your thinking. You know why? Because if you look back and you say, oh, I don't like that feeling at all. You know what? I'm going to think something that makes me feel better. Now, when you start to think better, you speak better, you act better. It is one movement. One movement is all it is. So when you are sitting there in that dark place and you feel like I can't go on, that is just a thought that you are harboring. But because you harbor the thought, as within, so without. The more you entertain the thought, the more darkness you must experience on the outside. Right? Tracy, mull that over for a minute. I'm coming to that question, that story, Montreal. I'm coming to that story. Sal, you asked a question. I see you, soul of a man. I see you. Sal, okay, there, I think I found it. Sometimes you tend to procrastinate things that I set for myself because lately I've been struggling with work. You see, now you have to break that down. What part of work are you struggling with? Are you struggling with getting to work on time? Are you struggling with completing your tasks? Are you struggling with feeling overwhelmed with the amount of work? What is it? You see, because, pardon me, when we feel overwhelmed and we don't know where to start, that's why we don't do it, because you feel overwhelmed. But if you say, I have so many piles of paper on my desk, I don't know where to start. Put your hand on one piece. Pick up one piece, start it, and finish it. Put it in the completed pile. Because you know what you're doing. What you're doing is being consistent with completing a task, so that you train yourself to always complete the task that you've finished, so that way you don't end up with a pile on the desk. If that makes sense. Yes, Montreal. Your failure and mistakes, because that's what you learn from. You see, it's cause and effect. This is the law number 5. Cause and effect tells you every cause has its effect, but also every effect has its cause. So if you're looking at the effect and you say, oh, I failed, well, what did you not accomplish? You go back to the cause and you do the cause differently. Do the beginning action differently. If you're just going through your garden drawer and you said, oh, I'm just going to pick up these seeds, and you don't know what they are, and you plant them and you're like, oh, I didn't want those to grow. So it's the same thing here. You tweak the cause to get the desired effect. So no, you haven't failed at anything. Just go back and look at what the failure was, because it wasn't the outcome you wanted. So go back and what's the outcome that I do want? Then apply the cause to match that effect. Does that make sense? Plant medicine. Well, I study traditional Chinese medicine, so that's my doctorate. And I love herbal medicine, because I'm going to touch on something a little bit off here, but it all makes sense. If you look back, because my bestie and I were talking about it, if you look back at how we have evolved, there wasn't enough time in that evolution to develop plant medicine. So that means plant medicine had to come from somewhere. We were given plant medicine. So plant medicine is highly effective, because in traditional Chinese medicine, we don't ever use one thing on its own, because things have a counter and a balance, right? You have side effects, right? Like acetylsalic acid from the white willow bark. It has the acid, but it also has the mucus that protects the stomach. But what science has done is they've separated the mucus from the acid. So now when you take the acid on its own, you harm the stomach, because the mucus is gone from the white willow bark. Yes, plant medicine is awesome. Yes, the body does heal itself. But we also cannot be unwise. We cannot be unwise. You understand? You cannot be unwise. Plant medicine exists It's an effect because illness is there. So I tried plant medicine when, because some of you know that I did have surgery, major surgery, actually 3 weeks ago. So I'm still in recovery. I tried plant medicine. It's not that the plant medicine didn't work. It's that what I had was so far gone. I ended up with 4 blood transfusions. I literally almost died. My child found me unconscious. That's how bad it was. You know, you're walking through the grocery store and you just drop to the ground. You know, that's not a way to live. So I had to make a choice. So medicine exists because illness exists. Just be wise. Let's see. Lady D. That is exactly what I told my granddaughter. If you can't, you can't fail. All it means you have to learn it. Well, yes. Oh, Montreal, you meditated for 3 days. Yes. You see? So sometimes we can do too much. Sometimes we can do too much. That's why I say there's always a stage, right? There's always stages to our growth and our evolution, right? People say God only gives you what he knows you can handle. There's stages, right? And Lady D, you are correct when it comes to friendships. As within, so without. The type of friend you are to yourself is the type of friend you will encounter on the outside. And why is that? Why is that? Well, if you're planting tulips, that bulb is a tulip. So you can only get tulips. And because I tell people, if you might not believe me, but look to nature. That's these natural laws that exist. If you have that tulip bulb, that's why self-love starts with you. But when you say it like that, because it's such a, what's the phrase I want to say here? That term is so abused nowadays without any real understanding. So if you look at it through the eyes of the law, self-love, you are setting the blueprint that must be replicated on the outside. So if you don't have a clear picture of how you love yourself, you don't lie to yourself, you don't cuss yourself out, you're gentle with yourself, you have fun, you're laid back, whatever it is. If you don't have that within you, how can you plant it to reap it? That's why self-love is important. That's why it always starts from within. As within, so without. Montreal, that story. Oh, when we went to the mall. I think this is the one with the food court. I know there was quite a few stories I had like that. I'm trying to remember which one it is. He didn't, and because I hadn't worn a mask, right? And of course I was worried when I left the house. Oh no, I don't want to, and I'm like, if somebody tells me anything about wearing a mask, I'll just tell them where to go. That was the conversation I had in my head. That was literally the conversation I had in my head. Oh, I can't stand this. Don't talk to me about a mask, blah, blah, blah. Because at the time, my hemoglobin was so low that oxygen was low. So I couldn't actually wear the mask without losing consciousness, right? So I didn't wear one. And so because they don't know your situation, they think you're just wanting to buck the system. So I go and, of course, well, you can't be here unless you're wearing a mask. She came for me because I called her. How did I call her? Because I was having that argument in my head. Montreal, now that you mentioned that, it was another thing like that too. I think it was 3 weeks ago. And I said something to my dad. And then 3 days later, I get a phone call from my stepmother. Let me tell you why I don't like you. This is how she started the conversation. And I said to myself, of course, my father says to me, just hear her out. So out of great love and respect for my daddy, I listened. But let me tell you this. What I did 3 days earlier, I had her in mind in a conversation. We don't see eye to eye. Right? So because I was arguing with her in my head, I had to argue with her in real life. See? Yes. Tracy, you said, let me scroll down. Just bear with me here. The Bible says to set your mind on things above. Whatever is good, whatever is true, whatever is honest, think on these things is the scripture. Now, why do you think that scripture exists? That scripture exists because it is telling you that the thought you have within is the experience you must have on the outside. So if you want peace in your life, think on things that are higher. Not just higher in thought, because remember, the thought is the thought has its own vibration. So if it's a higher thought, it will have a higher vibration. Oh, and listen, when I was over on Lance's channel, normally I only ever go for like an hour, hour and a half, or an hour and 20 minutes. But when I was going, something said to me, open up your channel and continue on. And I met you, Tracy. Lady D is here. Sal is here. Rosemary is here. You see, when you spend time in the presence of the all, practicing the law, when you hear things, you begin to develop your intuition as a quote-unquote side effect, right? I'm coming to you, Lady Day. I draw out of the well of God is my refuge, but of course, a very present help in the time of trouble. See, so if now you replace the word God with law, you would understand, because God has its own negative connotation. Lots of people don't want to hear about God. But I understand. Sal, what if it is your coworkers that are affecting you on a daily basis? It's not your coworkers, it's how you respond to your coworkers. I think I gave this example. I used to work at UPS, and I had this one coworker who thought she was my boss. And so we never got along. She just was always on my case, do this, do that. And I'm like, dude, I'm doing my job. I'm okay. And so when I would get in my car at like 3 a.m. to go to work, I'm like, oh man, I gotta see this heifer. Like, just, if she bugs me, I'm gonna tell her off. I'm gonna tell her this. Every day I had an argument in my head before I got to work. And every day I went to work, I had to have an argument. So what I did was, I said, you know what? This is too much. I got out a piece of paper, and every time I thought about her, I put a line on the paper. My shift was 5 hours. I thought about her because there was over 100 strokes on that paper. Sometimes you need to see what you're doing, right? So then I decided, I said, well, what do I want to tell myself instead? She was the only person out of that entire warehouse that I did not get along with. So I told myself, well, I get along with everybody I work with, because that was the truth. I did get along with everybody I worked with. And so then I decided, because I had read Neville Goddard's lecture, I think I had narrated it. I do have it in my playlist, his books. I read his lecture, and he said, don't have an argument in your head. Now, you got to remember, my lifestyle was one of argument, because I always had to argue to defend myself, because I didn't have that. Nobody defended me, so I had to defend myself. And I got really good at arguing. And so I decided I wasn't going to do that anymore. So when I thought of her, I would remind myself, you know what? That's a lie. I get along with everybody I work with. Seriously, the day after, I go to work. Good morning, Angela. I was like, is this an invasion of the body snatchers? Because she never says good morning to me. And from that day on, I understood. So, Sal, what is it that's happening that you think your coworkers are doing that's ruffling your feathers? Why are your feathers being ruffled in the first place? That That's the solution. Don't argue with them in your head. Do not have that conversation to try to be right. Do you understand what I'm saying? If not, let me know and we'll elaborate some more by way of law. Let me see. Tracy, anytime, honey, anytime. Good night, Rosemary. I know, because you are like on the other side of the world. Yes. And that's the thing. Now you have to look at the law here. Sal, when you said C19 was crazy, look at the law. Which law do you think was being used there? The law of gender. A thought was being projected day in and day out. And because, remember how the body works, right? When you understand how the body works, you understand that it takes orders. It takes direction. You have to tell it what to do by way of law of gender. You project the thought from your masculine, which is the left side of the brain, to the feminine, which is the right side of the brain. Even in traditional Chinese medicine, when you're treating something, if you've got stagnation, you want to move things. So you choose the masculine side, the left side of the body. But if you're weaker, you don't want to move anything because there's nothing to move because you're weak. So what do you want to do? You want to nourish. So you use the right side because it is feminine. So a man comes in and I use the right side to nourish him. That's feminine. He's not, but the right side of his body is, just like the right side of his brain. Same for women, you understand? So when you understand that the law of gender is a projection, something is being projected from somewhere or someone into you. And if you don't pay attention to see what is being projected, you will give birth to that. Because the seed has been planted. And you notice how the seed was not planted one day. It was planted for well over 2 years, 3 years. Ray of sunshine, hi. The argument in your head, you get better with that this week. Well, of course. Only have the type of conversations in your head that you want to experience outside of yourself. Hello, Landon. But what if they are flat out rude, including your boss? Only have the conversations in your head that you want to have on the outside. So Sal, here's how we're going to deal with. This is why you come out to the workshop on January the 27th at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For this one reason. If they are flat out rude, including your boss, how do you want this to go? You want to be able to go into your workplace and have it be peaceful and have it be cordial. So if you're going to have a conversation in your head, you say, oh my God, good morning. Have this in your head. You don't have to say it to them out front. Have the conversation in your head because that is the design of the human. So you have the conversation in your head the way you want it to go. Oh my God, it's so good to see you. Oh, we have so much in common. Any kind of pleasantry, have that conversation. And have it when you get up in the morning, before you put your feet on the floor, and have it before you fall asleep at night. Why? Neville Goddard, he explained it so beautifully. He said, when man goes to sleep, the subconscious mind floats to the surface. And she says, what would you have me do? So whatever you fall asleep, this is why the Bible tells you don't go to bed in your anger. Because you're giving her anger. And what does a womb do? Gives birth to the seed planted within it. So if you give the womb anger when you wake up in the morning, you will be angry. So when you fall asleep at night, Sal, have the type of conversation you want to have with your coworkers. Or if you can't handle that, see somebody being promoted and they're not in the same space as you, whether it's them being promoted or you being promoted. But either way, see the best for them. As we say in Barbados, don't wish for anybody what you wouldn't want for yourself. Does that make sense? But that's what I wanted to share. And I felt, I don't know why I felt the need to come over here and do it. I have no idea. But just something said, open your channel and go over there. And here we are. And the ones who were meant to be in this space, who wanted to, cause and effect. They found it because they were looking. Right? They found it because they were looking. So you see, it is always use the law. I just got to pull my leg. There you go. To sit up. So what you do is remember, whatever you are saying to yourself at any given time, and with however much passion you say it. Why? The law of rhythm. See, when you swing the pendulum really hard to the left, rhythm compensates. So however hard you swing it to the left, it will come right back that hard to the right. Because it swings, yes? So if you just move it a little bit, it's going to come back a little bit. That's why with whatever passion you believe something. This happens a lot with, you could say bipolar, because 1 minute they're up really high and the next minute they're down really low. That is the law of rhythm. They're being swung back and forth by way of the law of rhythm. So learn to let me say it to you the right way. I have it in my PDF. I have a law PDF. I simplify the laws in that PDF, and it is also in audio format. And there's a there's a morning meditation. I haven't recorded the nighttime meditation one. I will be doing that tonight. And if you look in the description of any of my videos, it will be there. Because I'll get a notification that you paid for it, and I will email it to you in a folder so you have access to them, right? Because there are exercises in that PDF that you can refer to every single day if you forget to do something. It's also over on my Patreon. Like I make these things because I understand how challenging it is when we want to make that change and we don't think that we can. Because that's all you ever hear. Oh, that's not possible. And with the law, all things are possible. Right? So in that PDF, I say this one thing. Do not control your emotions. Choose them. You don't control the emotion. You choose them. How do you choose the emotion? Cause and effect. If you get up in the morning, you say, oh, I got time today. I wish a heifer would. What emotions are you choosing? Anger, frustration, rage. So when the emotion comes upon you because you said, I wish you would. You said it. Call those things that are not as though they were, and they become. So you choose your emotion. Right? Choose your emotion. Choose how you want to behave. Choose how you want to feel. That way, you never have to control anything. Why would you need to control it? Emotions belong to the body. Don't control them. Tell the body what you want it to do, because that is its job. It is a faithful servant to you, but a very poor master, just because it is so emotional. Well, I don't feel like exercising today, so I won't. That's your body talking. That's why I told my son, some things, whether or not you feel like doing them, they must be done. They don't go on feelings. They must be done. That's why choose. Choose. Right? Choose your emotions. Ray of sunshine, you just said, "Oh my God, what happened?" Um, but yeah, I'm not gonna keep you very much longer. If there's another question, we'll do it. But that's why um, I do things like this, because I understand. I understand. And sometimes it hurts me when I hear people say, you know what, Angela, I've tried and I can't change. I'm too far gone. Listen to me. Nobody is ever too far gone. Ever. As long as there's breath in your lungs. My grandfather said that to me. He goes, as long as you're alive, you can make a change. So stay alive and make the change. And like I said, the only reason why it seems so challenging is because the old habit is familiar. That's why you don't fight it, because it appears to fight back. Make a new habit. That's what we do. That's a great idea, Tracy, to wear headphones. It really is. Because, and here's the thing, when you do something like that, you are raising your vibration, because you're now generating thoughts that are higher than what you've left or heard. That's why you don't necessarily engage in things like gossip. Nothing will drag you down further than that. You understand? And listen, girl, I know, I understand. That's why, like, people say social media is bad for you. Only if you don't have a reason to be on it and you're just going to be on it for shits and giggles. Know why you want to do something so you get the outcome that you desire. There you go. You see, and I'm reading what you say here, Tracy. You see what you're doing when you anoint your workspace, right? Do you know what you're doing? I'll tell you what you're doing. Whatever words you speak over a space, like prayer cloths, you pray over them. The intent that you set upon that cloth, when a person comes into contact with it, if they are receptive to the thought that you put into that cloth, they'll be drawn to it. If they are repulsed by the intention you put into that cloth, they won't come near it. So to anoint your space means to set the vibration of your space. That's what you're doing. Learn how to do it without the oil. The oil is only the ritual or the symbol. But the universe is a mental creation. So begin to start practicing elevating because here's the beauty of vibration. If you practice the art of raising your vibration, you can raise the vibration in any space. And who's meant to be in it will be in it, because they resonate with it. Right? You may not always have holy water on hand, but your vibration. So does that make sense? But I understand why you do it. I get it. And it is effective because it is the vibration. It's not the oil. It's the vibration that you assign. That's what you're doing. Right? That's what you're doing. So, that makes a lot of sense. The pendulum? Yes. Always the pendulum. The pendulum is always moving because nothing stands still. Everything moves. Everything vibrates. That is law. However, fast or slow the pendulum swings depends upon the thought that you are thinking, because every thought is a cause, because it's a vibration. That's why I tell you, it doesn't matter which law you remember. I want you to remember them all for your benefit, right? Remember them all. But if you remember just one of them, you'll be doing them all. Because in order to change the swing of the pendulum, you must change the vibration. And to change the vibration, you must change the thought. Because the universe is a mental creation. It always comes back to that. Anywho, ray of sunshine, you still didn't tell me why you said, oh my God. You didn't tell me why you said it. But yeah, that's, I feel, when I say I feel, there's a sense of completion that I did what I needed to do. So, like I tell people, again, January 27th, because February, I do believe February 27th, I think so, 3:30 p.m. Eastern, the second workshop will be about forgiveness. And step by step, we're going to understand forgiveness, because it's always going to be that Q&A, but it is about forgiveness. And you get your step-by-step instructions because you're going to be using the law. Yes, ray of sunshine. Always choose them. Look, you know why you choose them? Because you are sovereign. The 26th, well, let me see. I should make a note in my phone and give you a belated birthday shout out. So in order to attend, I tell people, if you subscribe to me either on Patreon or you have a membership on YouTube, the YouTube memberships start at 99 cents a month. Right? Because the goal is not, no, I won't tell you what the goal is not. I'll tell you what the goal is. The goal is mutual benefit. And the goal is to get the law into the ears and the hearts of people. That is the goal. And to do it in such a way that is within reach of everyone. I know people say, oh, but you do what you're capable of doing. And if you don't want to join a membership or you don't want to be on Patreon, it simply is $9. I teach, so I think April, the laws, I will pick one. We just did the vibration. We just did that one. So if, like I said, if you are a member anywhere, you have access to those things. We just did vibration in December. I did it before surgery. And so the next one, I really do think I got to get on it before, because I want to do it every quarter, but there are 7 laws. So, but every month we do a workshop regarding Q&A and answering these questions by way of law. Right? I will make a note of January 26th, my dear Tracy, and so that I can be reminded of your birthday, because that's important. Are there any more questions before we go? Because my boy, he's been really good. He's been so quiet. He's been so quiet. And you know, I try not to make him be too quiet for such a long stretch of time, because then he's just excited, you know. Yes, the 9 is by PayPal. Underneath in the description, there's a link for that. And because you're there, I will send you the link because I have a list of all the people who signed up already. Yeah. So, because I'm only taking 27 questions. So, sake of time. But yeah, like, if there aren't any more questions, like I said, you guys can always slide into my DMs, and you can find me on every platform. I'm not on TikTok, so you won't find me over there. But I am on Facebook under Positively Angela, and also the Hermetic Principles, Neville, Goddard, and Joseph Murphy. That's the other Facebook group that I do. You can find me on Instagram as Positively Angela. You can find me on Twitter as Positively Ange, because the LA was too much for Twitter here. But you can find all that in the About Me section on YouTube. It has all those direct links there. Also, let me see. Yeah. Oh, nighttime guided meditations will be back starting February the 1st. Because I've been getting a lot of requests for that. And you know what? I think I want to keep it as member only. You know why? Because there's so many of them that I have on my Twitter feed. I really want to focus and help people really focus on these meditations, whereas before they were just general. And so the people say, well, we want more, Angela. We want to go deeper with meditation. I'm like, okay. And so that's how we do it. Is there anything else I have to tell you before we go? Morning inspiration, 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on YouTube. Well, it's on YouTube and it's on Twitter, Fanbase. Those are the three places. I'm like an octopus. I've got my phone, I got the computer, and I got my iPad, but those are the places we stream for morning inspiration, 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every morning. Yeah, and if ever there's a topic you would like covered by way of law, slide into my DMs and let me know, and we will answer it through the law. Right? So, I thank you, each and every one of you, for being here. And I'm glad I was obedient, because last time I was told, I heard, why don't you go live? And I was like, I hemmed and hawed for an hour. And I don't know what that hour cost me. Not anything monetary, but like exactly what I experienced tonight. I heard go live on Positively Angela, because I was over on Lance Scurv. And I jumped on here right away. And here was Tracy. A ray of sunshine. Soul of a man. Montreal was here. Sal is here. Lady D. All of you, Rosemary. Sonia, all of you were here. Including Heed. He's good friends with my son. And what he said tonight blew me away. And so when you get a prompting, you see, that's what happens when you practice the law. You will automatically begin to develop your intuition, because you will just begin to feel that prompting. You just, and that's the thing. Intuition is not a feeling, it is a knowing. Oh, do this, do that. And you just move when you're told. Right? And so practicing the law will do that. It will develop your intuition for you. And so tonight I am glad I listened and I did not hem and haw and say, maybe, what am I going to talk about? I didn't do that. Because I said last time, I said, you know what? Next time you want me to go live, I won't ask. I'll just go. And that's what I did tonight. And so that's why I say I appreciate each and every one of you for being here on such a lovely evening. And yeah, and Mercedes, she was here. Yeah, Sonia. Yeah, I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. And so, with that, I say good night, my beautiful friends. And I'll catch y'all's. Oh, ray of sunshine. Oh, I just saw your thingy pop up there. Nexodus. Oh, gee, you're going to have to catch this replay. Because we're just about done. Yes, ray of sunshine. I'm glad I did too. Good night, my dear sweet Tracy. And I trust that tonight you have done a 180 and you are no longer the same. I look forward to hearing from you again, Tracy. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so that we can keep in touch. Right? Yeah, that's really all it is. And make sure, and I do have my music posted too. Because somebody said to me, girl, why don't you share your music? And so I shared that too. Check the description below any video and you'll see it. I send them out via, I have them in a folder and I just send them out to you. Yeah. Thank you, Tracy. And that's all. That's all. I love you, and I will see you again Monday through Friday for morning inspiration at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And remember, put it in your calendar. February the 1st, nighttime meditation. And January 27th, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Q&A. Get your questions in. Much love, my beautiful friends. Much love.